I'm going to show you one of the biggest reasons why e-commerce brands are not profitable. If you're struggling with profitability, or even if you are profitable, this video is going to help you make more profit. The profit and loss statement, also known as the P&L, is one of the biggest opportunities for e-commerce brands, but it's also the area that most e-commerce brands have it all wrong. And my promise to you today is that if you apply what I tell you in this video, if you follow the recommendations, you are much more likely to be more profitable as an e-commerce brand. The reality is that most e-commerce brands are not profitable. You'd be surprised the amount of 7- and 8-figure brands that I've spoken to who don't have clarity on their P&L. And this is why I create these videos, to help you out and to really show you what we're doing at my agency with our clients to help them scale to 8 figures, so you can apply the same things to your own brand and scale as well. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to audit your P&L and find the areas that you can optimize to make more profit. I'm going to show you how to reverse engineer your marketing targets to fuel your P&L rather than sabotage it. And I'm also going to give you a P&L template in case you do not yet have one. And finally, I'm going to show you how to forecast your P&L and plan out your marketing strategy in advance. So let's get straight into the video. Before we dive into the meat of the video, I just want to give you a quick proof that I'm qualified to speak on the topic of growing e-commerce brands, but also maintaining that scale. Last 90 days, one of our clients here, just over $2.3 million in revenue. As I mentioned, this is what we do for our clients. We have done few services across both paid acquisition and customer retention, but every month we also get access to our clients' P&Ls. The reason why we do that is because we like to combine marketing with finance and understand that are we actually building and scaling a profitable business here? Because as I mentioned, a lot of the times e-commerce brands are not scalable, and the founders or the operators don't really know how to use the P&L, understand the P&L, or read the P&L to fuel their marketing and actually fuel the scale of their business. So what I have here is a randomized P&L numbers. So this is a format of P&L that is very common in e-commerce. Now, this is maybe not exactly what you have. If you have a P&L from your accountants, it might look a little bit different. It might be some things here that are not in this one, vice versa. The purpose of this is to give you a real example, right? Rather than me just talking to you and just explaining the concepts, I actually want to show you the raw numbers, right? And show you how to actually read this. And of course, if there's slight differences, slight nuances, you're smart enough to be able to apply this to your own P&L, right? Now, first thing, if you do not have your P&L, if you're not getting this every month from accountants or anything, that is step 0, right? You need to be doing that, right? That is so important. And yeah, the finance stuff can be boring, but trust me, it is the key to unlocking profitable growth for your business. So let's get into this. This is for financial year 2025. Of course, we're only roughly halfway through 2025 at the time of recording this. It's June. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you historic numbers, but also future numbers and how to actually forecast those. I'm going to show you how we went from unprofitable to profitable, and then forecasting the rest of the year to be much more profitable than we currently are. So every P&L starts with, of course, revenue. You have gross revenue, which is top line. Then you have your discounts and returns that are factored in, right? When you subtract those out from gross revenue, it gives you net revenue. And then you have shipping revenue. Like if you earn money from shipping, of course, you need to add that back in if you want to get what we call just net revenue plus shipping revenue, right? And of course, there's different things you can include here, but this is what we have here for this example, all right? Then we get into cost of goods sold, so your product costs, packaging, freight in, freight out, warehouse fulfillment, which gives you your total COGS. And then of course you calculate your gross margin based on your COGS and your gross revenue. Then you have your operating expenses, which are your employee expenses. You have things such as overheads, telephone, internet, office supplies, web hosting, domains. Then you have, your marketing expenses, which are the marketing agency, paid ads, affiliate commissions, content for ads, software, Klaviyo, Shopify apps, all that stuff, right? So the reason why I'm just breaking this down for you is so that you get an understanding of this format and structure, so that it makes sense as we go through the numbers. So basically, this business was unprofitable at the start of the year, right? Q1 unprofitable. And you see here, like as we get down to like total operating profit and net income, losing $49,000, losing $70,000, $18,000. And this is the reality for most e-commerce brands, right? If you run an e-commerce brand that's not profitable, you're not alone, right? The amount of unprofitable e-commerce brands that I've seen that you would think are profitable from the outside in is alarming, and it's just the raw reality. It's tough to get profitable in today's D2C ecosystem, right? Competition, tariffs, Temu, all this stuff, right? And I'm here to tell you that it is still possible to grow an e-commerce brand. Of course, you need the right product market fit, all those things, which, we've spoken about in my other videos on this channel. But there are some simple things you can do to turn you from red to green. I'm going to show you those right now. By the way, if you're a new viewer here, my name is Jordan Hayes. I actually run a marketing agency where we help e-commerce brands scale their revenue profitably. Now, if you're running an e-commerce brand, you're doing over 100K per month in revenue, and you're facing challenges with scale, maybe your ads or your funnel is not working as well as it used to or should be, or even if it's just a lack of time and resource to put into scaling this part of the business, then that's exactly what we help with. So down below this video, there'll be a link to book a call with me. We'll have a conversation about your business, learn more about the challenges, your objectives, and see if there's a fit for us to work together. Worst case scenario, I can provide some insights as we're seeing with our other clients to help you at your current stage of your business. And as I mentioned, this is for brands who are doing at least 100K per month in revenue, and they need help with scaling and obviously want to scale profitably. And in the way in which we help brands scale is we provide services across both customer acquisition and customer retention, done for you services which are completely hands off. We take care of everything for you. And that includes media buying, CRO, landing pages, ad creative, email marketing, SMS marketing, overall growth strategy, lifetime value optimization, all that stuff, okay? So with that said, let's get back to the video. So the first lever that you can pull, and one that most e-commerce brands don't even know and don't even realize is a detriment to them, is your discount rate, right? Like, how much are you discounting? If you're discounting like 30%, right? Like this brand, 31%, you're discounting 30%, 33%, that is eating into your gross margin heavily, right? Every time you do that, it is eating into your margin. So my recommendation is to audit, like, first of all, calculate your discount rate, right? You basically you take your discounts, you divide it into your gross revenue. That's going to give you a percentage, right? You multiply that by 100, it's going to give you a percentage. And that is your discount rate. That is roughly on average how much discounts you're giving away, right? Now, what you can do immediately is reduce that, right? So whether that's removing a site-wide discount, lowering a site-wide discount, or reducing the frequency or the amount at which you discount, right? So if you usually discount 30%, decrease that to 25%, decrease to 20%. See if there's an impact on your blended ROAS or your conversion rate. Yes, there likely will be, but what we're trying to do here is we're trying to offset the balance, right? It's all about finding a balance. If you can decrease the discount rate, but your MER decreases, which I'm going to show you in a moment, how basically the blended ROAS actually decreased, right? But we're profitable, right? You can see here, the blended ROAS is 3.86 in March, and then in April, it's actually lower MER, but profitable. And why is that? Because we reduced the discount rate. This is the discount inflection point where the discount rate is 29% instead of 33%, right? And that immediately unlocks more profit, even if our blended ROAS, even if our marketing efficiency is worse than it was, okay? So it's not always about chasing, a higher ROAS, a lower CPA. That's not the game. Brands that do that and only focus on that are going to get stuck, right? And they're not going to realize that there are other levers that you can pull inside the P&L to increase your profitability. And look, without this visibility, it's very difficult to know whether, discount rate is actually a problem in your business. So this would be the first thing I would audit. It's such an easy thing to fix. Another thing you can do is go into your Shopify discount codes, audit the amount of discount codes that are live that you're not using or you don't need, right? Like, you might have affiliate discount codes that are no longer in use. You very, very likely have discount codes that are leaking to websites like Honey that, display discount codes across the web. Turn those off if you don't need them, or, get them removed from Honey with your affiliate partner. That is possible, but it's harder to do, harder to police. Yeah, that'd be the first point. This is a huge lever. It's so underrated. And this is, one of the brands that we worked with that we took from unprofitable to profitable in just a few months. This was one of the levers that we pulled, right? This discount rate. So that's the first point. Let's move into the second point, the next inflection point, which is really Shopify apps. Now, you'd be surprised if you don't actively do a Shopify app audit, then you're likely going to be in for a shock as to how much you're spending on Shopify apps, because it's very easy for this software cost just to rack up, right? Everything adds up, and there's probably apps that you have right now that you're paying for, but you're not yet using, right? So do that audit, find out if there's anything that you're not using, cancel those apps immediately, okay? And that's just such an easy audit to do, such an easy thing to optimize as well, okay? So we have to here under software, optimizing the OpEx. Another thing to do is just software in general, like Klaviyo is another huge one that I see time and time again. People are paying way too much for Klaviyo. Klaviyo, they're unfortunately, as great of a platform as it is, and as much as, I love Klaviyo, we use it for the majority of our brands, their billing method is not designed to save you money, right? It's designed to go up, but they don't actually tell you when to decrease. And it's very, very difficult to reduce this without, external help. This was a Klaviyo inflection point for us in April, where, we took it from like 10K a month to just over 6K a month. Huge saving, right? But we're not decreasing the amount of campaigns we're sending or anything like that. What we're actually doing is we're using a software partner of ours called Arita. Created a video about these guys before. They're, a partner of ours. We use these guys to help us optimize the Klaviyo bill, right? Even when we're paying for Arita and paying for Klaviyo, it's still cheaper than if we're paying for Klaviyo without the help of Arita to optimize that bill. Okay, Arita does other things on top of that. They help improve deliverability. So they don't just help you decrease your Klaviyo bill, but they also help you increase your email marketing revenue, right? So you can, a decrease and an increase, right? So that is, for me, it's a no-brainer. You can check them out, arita.ai, and see if that's something you want to do, but I'd recommend it, right? Especially if you're doing 7 figures, if you're watching this doing 7 figures, 8 figures, this is a no-brainer for me. It's like an instant way to save money and make more money, okay? Now let's talk about another area, which is content, right? So many e-commerce brands are spending way too much money on getting content for ads, UGC, and it's a double-edged sword, because more UGC, yes, you can create more ads, you can test more ads. As you scale your ad spend, you need to test more ads, you need to create more ads, but there is a way to save money on UGC which I've gone through in my other videos, is basically well, first of all, if you're working with content creators and you're giving them a lot of work, negotiate better deals with them, right? Get a bulk video, get a bulk rate for multiple videos at once, right? Don't pay them $250, $300 every single video. It just doesn't make sense. Get some bulk rates. Same with whitelisting, right? Negotiate your rates, get better rates. The next thing you want to do is you can leverage the use of AI and voiceovers with something like 11 Labs, which is getting better and better every day. Actually, just rolled out an update at the time of recording this. And you can use AI voiceovers with B-roll that you already have, right? And you can create a lot of ads from that. You don't always need new content. This is what we do for our clients. We help optimize that cost. There's a rule that I have called the 5% rule, which I have down here, content ads 5% rule. And this basically means that roughly you want to be budgeting around 5% of your ad spend to go towards getting content for ads, right? And this brand was high, it was like 8%, and we were able to reduce this to 7%. And the goal is to continue reducing this to even like 5.56% is fine. You want to try and get it as close to 5% as possible, okay? And that, by the way, is more than enough of a budget to get content. If you optimize that with AI, you can get that even lower than 5%, right? And that's going to unlock more profitability for you as well, okay? So as you can see here, as we begin to roll out these changes, as we begin to increase and improve the discount rate, and then we do the Shopify app order and the Klaviyo order, and we reduce the amount of money we're spending on the content, the profitability starts to increase dramatically, right? A small increase, like a similar MER to the previous month, much more profitable, right? Because now all these things are working together, right? Then again, MER decreases, profit goes up, right? Because we're decreasing the discount rate again, right? We're optimizing those costs, even as the cost of employee expenses is increasing, right? Let me show you right here. Employee expenses is going up, right? Because the business is scaling, needs to hire more, okay? Now, this is another area of opportunity that I see a lot of brands face. This brand is actually pretty lean, but it's another huge area where brands are just spending way too much on payroll because maybe they're overstaffed and maybe they're paying employees more than they need to. You should leverage agencies and freelancers to get better rates, right? Just get better costs on your side for employees, just for fulfillment of operations and tasks, okay? So that's what I have here. Another thing is the office, right? Huge office expense. A bigger office than you need, you can downsize, you can go fully remote, right? Those are options for you, and that immediately, gives you that money back. Okay, so you need to be thinking about, like, do you want to build a profitable business, or do you want to build, of course, an office is great for culture, right? And I'm not against offices, but I'm just saying these are the levers that you can pull, right? And that you should really strongly consider. You should put the profitability of your business over having an office first, right? That's basically what I'm saying. If you're, at this stage, where your profitability, you're making 55, 84K, 76K, 100K a month profit, get the office, right? That's going to build culture. It's going to help you build a team, and it's going to help you build more enterprise value longer term, okay? How do we get into these numbers, right? We went from getting 14K in profit to 84, eventually 100K, even as the MER is decreasing. MER is below 3, right? MER is 3.61 here, below 3. How is our profit so much higher than it was back here? Well, again, it comes down to optimizing all the areas, right? Even though our MER is decreasing, right? We're getting a worse blended ROAS. Our discount rate is down to 20% instead of what it was at 30%, 32%, right? We're doing that. And at the same time, as I mentioned, the other things are optimized, right? So the P&L is not a one and done, right? The optimization of the P&L is not a one and done. You need to be looking at this multiple times a month, every single month. The game changer here is a CFO. Even if you're doing 7 figures, you can afford a fractional CFO. There's agencies out there. If you want a recommendation for a fractional CFO, comment down below. I have a very good recommendation I can give you. We're very cost effective. Like, that is a very cost effective solution. And the CFO is going to be able to read, understand the P&L, get an accountant to deliver the P&L. The fractional CFO does not need to be doing the P&L. It's not the best use of their time. Give them the P&L, make sure it's done promptly every single month, and they should be able to read it, optimize it in real time. And they should be looking at it and watching everything like a hawk. Any new expense should be run by your CFO, because they're going to be able to put it into the budget, right? They're actually going to create a budget for you for the rest of the year, like we've done for this brand. And they're going to be able to tell you how much you can actually spend on marketing, what your MER, your blended ROAS should be to be able to achieve the profit targets that you want to achieve, and more, right? They're going to be able to look at your Shopify apps, audit those, etc., etc. So that is really a game changer. You as the operator, as a CEO, you have a lot of things to be doing. Doing the P&L and, seeing where you can optimize the business is probably not the best use of your time, right? So having a fractional CFO and then eventually hiring a full-time CFO and even like a finance team as you get into the 8-figure range is such a game changer, such a needle mover, that is so underrated as well, okay? And then you want to make sure your agency or your marketing team has access to the P&L and they know how to use it, right? Give them some training, give them this video, give them a crash course on how to actually look at the P&L and analyze it and know how to use it. Or if you hire a fractional CFO, get your CFO to train the agency specifically on how to read your P&L, right? Because you need finance and marketing on the same page, on the same wavelength, because ultimately marketing, it's metrics, it's money, we're spending money, we're getting revenue in return. it's finance, right? Everything comes back to finance, right? Now, other things here, you can increase revenue, right? That's just another thing you can do. You can basically increase your average order value pricing and maintain blended ROAS, which is actually going to increase your blended ROAS, right? So that's ultimately what we're doing here. Cost of goods sold, you can renegotiate terms with suppliers. You know, you aim for at least 5 to 10% improvement. Basically, like, you're not going to get a lot of squeeze out of the lemon. So you're not going to get a lot of juice out of the squeeze when it comes to this, because unless you're doing mass scale, like really high scale, you don't always get the best like negotiated terms with suppliers, but worth a shot, always worth a shot. Relationship in terms of years, like the standing of years that you have with that supplier can also help. It doesn't always have to be economies of scale that you achieve that way. All right. You can increase shipping revenue, right? A lot of brands lose money from shipping, but a lot of brands make money from shipping, and you can actually make money from shipping. So if you can do that, it's going to add to your revenue. We went through the discount rate and order thing like discounts. You can also negotiate warehouse cost, right? If you have a landlord, maybe you can negotiate the cost or even a payment plan, or you can switch to 3PL, right? That's also something that may become cheaper as you scale, right? And then of course you can get economies of scale with the 3PL as you continue to scale. All right, so last thing I'm going to cover is using the P&L to set marketing targets, right? So first thing you want to do is forecast the P&L for the rest of the year. As I mentioned, you can do this yourself, and you can have a fractional CFO do this for you and really just set like a clear budget for the rest of the year. And then you want to identify the profit margin you're comfortable with, right? So what do you want to operate the business at? 10% profit margin, 15%, 20%? What is realistic for your product and specific niche, right, within e-commerce? Get some benchmarks online. What is the EBITDA that brands within your sector run at? Then you want to identify what you can realistically achieve. Set that as the goal. Right, then you want to reverse engineer that goal profit margin to a blended ROAS objective that you need to hit from your ads, right? But before you should do that, you should analyze and audit the other areas we spoke about: the discount rate, the Shopify app, software expenses, the employee expenses, the office, all that stuff. Because if you can decrease those costs before you go to the blended ROAS objective, it's likely that you're going to be able to achieve a lower blended ROAS, which is easier to achieve, rather than like a higher one to just cover all those expenses that you can actually be optimized, right? So I'll do that first. And then the final step is you break down the blended ROAS objective across platforms and sources, right? So let's just say that, even with this brand, we can continue scaling here, right? We can continue scaling at a worse blended ROAS, right? We can go down to 2 point, I don't even know the actual number we can go down to, but even at 2.5, we can still get profit, but achieve more volume, right? So that's really the goal here. Is like, as you continue scaling ad spend, your efficiency is going to decrease, right? You're going to get diminishing returns. That's just the way it goes. But what you can do is you can use volume to be able to still get higher profit. So you can spend more, you can decrease your blended ROAS, but you can get more volume. And you're going to find that inflection point, right? This is why forecasting and budgeting is so important, right? So you also know how much ad spend you're going to need to delegate and put out for the rest of the remaining of the year. So hopefully this is all coming together now. And these are pretty much the notes I wanted to go through. And this is a game changer, guys. Like, if you can do this for your brand, it is one of the most important things you'll do, right? And as I mentioned, it's not a one and done, it's ongoing. And if you do want an agency partner that combines marketing and finance and really cares about the P&L and pushes our clients, pushes you to make sure the P&L is done, make sure that we have the P&L every single month. We're waiting on the P&L, right? We expect the P&L from our clients. Now, some clients, they have, finance teams and everything is cool. They don't need us to look at it and help them out. But if it's the case where, it's just a mess, quite frankly, then, we will come in and help, because it is a requirement in order for us to hit profitability. But here's the thing, not just hit profitability, but continue to be profitable at scale. I see so many brands that are profitable, they scale up, and then they become unprofitable. Even though they're spending more and they're getting more revenue, they become unprofitable. Like, in theory, it doesn't make sense, but it happens so often, okay? And maybe it's happening to you. So hopefully this video is valuable. If you want more videos about the finance side, the P&L, things that people don't talk about a lot, right? Look, everyone likes to talk about CRO, landing pages, ad creatives, all that stuff. I talk about that stuff as well, because it's super helpful. But if you want more finance stuff, more P&L stuff like this, then let me know in the comments down below. And yeah, as I mentioned, if you're looking for a marketing partner to help you scale your business profitably, then there's a link for this video. You can check us out. We only work with a handful of clients, so maybe not at the time recording this, there's availability for new clients, but we can have a chat and we can understand more about your business and see if there's a fit for us to work together. All right, that's it for this video, and I will see you in the next one.